All right, so guitar players like to keep things very, very simple. So they've developed a language that's comprised of only two components, and those components are strings and frets. This is a very, very easy language to learn. So let's start by looking at the strings. So if you look at this guitar at the top of this page here, this is like me or some buddy of yours that's sitting across from you holding a guitar. So let's count the strings and find out how many there are. If we start down at the bottom string, the one that's closest to the floor, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the nice thing about counting the strings is that we've also learned the names of them. So, in the language of guitars, each string is just called the number, as if you were counting it. So, really, all we have to remember is that each string's name is either numbers 1 through 6. And the thing we have to remember is that number 1 is the string that's closest to our feet, or closest to the floor. String number 6 is the string that's closest to our eyes. Okay, so let's look at the fingerboard where our left hand plays. And take a look up here where this white ivory thing is, just before the tuning pegs, just before the head of the guitar. That's called the nut. Then go a little bit further towards the sound hole, and they have these metal, silver, shiny things. Those are called frets. So the space in between the nut and the fret, if we were to press that down, we would say we were playing fret 1. And the space between the next two frets, that's fret 2. And then this space here is fret 3. And this is fret 4. And this is fret 5, and so on all the way up the fingerboard, up to 22, or sometimes there's even 24 frets, depending on what kind of guitar you have. All right, so let's put those two things together, strings and frets. So if somebody told me I should play string 1, fret 1, well, then I would put my finger right here on the first string, the string that's closest to my feet or closest to the ground, and in this space in between the nut and the first fret. If somebody told me to play string 6, fret 2, then my finger would go up here on the top string, the string that's closest to my eyes, and then inside the second space up from the nut, right here. If somebody told me to play string 3, fret 3, well, I count up string 1, 2, 3, so here's string 3, and then frets 1, 2, 3, so here we go, string 3, fret 3, that's where I'd play. So let's keep doing a few more of these examples and you kind of follow along, so you make sure you can figure out where you're at. So say I tell you to put your finger on string 1, fret 2. So that's the very first string, closest to your feet, fret 2. Good. Right here. Okay, let's do string 4, fret 4. So count up the strings, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 frets over, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Let's do one more. How about string 5, fret 5? So count up 5 strings or down from 6, whichever way seems easiest to you. Here's string 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets over. And there we go. Now one last thing about the language of guitar. When we play a string without putting our left hand down, without pushing down on a fret, we call this playing the string open. So a non-fretted string is an open string. So if someone told me to play the open 6th string, I would just play this string that's closest to my eyes without pushing any of the frets down with my left hand. Okay, so there you have it. You've just learned a whole new language, the language of guitars. It's spoken in strings and frets, and really it's just a grid. So take a little time and practice kind of putting your fingers on the fretboard and naming what string you're on using the language of guitar players.